So can everybody hear me? Good? All right. So, hi. My name is Whitney Phillips. I'm going to be doing a talk on Beginner's Guide to Mobile Application Penetration Testing. So I know that's a mouthful. Is this anybody's first CypherCon? It's my first CypherCon. That's a big group. So I normally go to Goetzman. That's kind of like my home away from home in Michigan. So let's go ahead and get started. So who am I? Again, I'm Whitney Phillips. I've been in IT and InfoSec for 12 years. I started off as a help desk specialist. Then I moved to a system administrator. That's kind of where I got my start in InfoSec. After that, I kind of did some blue teaming. So I led a huge endpoint encryption project. Anything they threw at me, antivirus, DLP, I picked it up. After that, I did purple teaming. I did secure code review. I don't know anything about coding, so don't ask me how I got on the team, but I did it. After that, a guy came to me and asked me if I wanted to learn how to mobile pen test, and I said, sure, why not? So I worked with a company for about 4 years where I would do mobile apps with messaging and some drone work. And then that led me to my current company right now. I work for TrustedSec, where I do mobile app testing primarily and some gray box testing. So, yay. That brings me to why are we here? Well, I want to talk to you about mobile application penetration testing and basically what tools you need to use to get started in that field. So any of these tools could probably be a whole 30-minute talk just because they are so extensive and it's taken me probably 5 years now just learning that. And when I started at TrustedSec, my manager right now knows like a whole another level that I don't even want to know about. So continuously learning in this field. So let's go ahead and start with devices. When you're doing mobile penetration testing, you're going to want devices. You're going to want a rooted Android device. I personally use the Pixel. Huh? Does it say, it's still, and who am I? Huh? Is it moving? No? It's moving on my thing. What the hell? Where are we at now? Yeah, because this is what I've... Oh, hold on. I'm going to end this. Okay. Where are we at the beginning again? Huh? Yeah, it's... Is it the dongle? Maybe?
Possibly.
And I know what we can do. We can mirror. All right. One moment, please. Display settings. Is anybody a desktop support person that can mirror display settings? Just unplug it. Good thing I talk fast. All right. What do we see now? Dark abyss. All right. Let's start from the beginning. Is my face all hot and red looking? All right, so if I click this. Yay! All right, let's start again. Why are we here? Mobile apps. All right, next, rooted devices. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. So, rooted devices. I personally use a Pixel 6. I used a Pixel 4 previously. That's my Android of choice. I'm sure there's other ones. That's just the one I'm more comfortable with. You can find any other ones that you prefer to use. So, when we're rooting, did it go to the next slide? Okay, cool. When rooting that device, I use Magisk. So Magisk is a really user-friendly application. There's a lot of steps that go to it, but they have a lot of good documentation out to it. You end up having to like sideload the APK on there, and then changing your whole boot structure, but it's fine. So a lot of information out there. It's an easy install. If you don't have physical access to a phone, Genymotion is a good emulator that I like to use. Depending on, unless you have an M1 laptop, then sometimes that doesn't work. Because it needs specific virtual machines, and I won't go on about that. But you can spool up as many virtual phones as you want and play around with them. You can sideload APKs on there. I like that. It's a good one to go off of. So this is Genymotion. Again, you can pull logs from your Android device. You can see where it would be a virtual machine or virtual Android phone up on your laptop. Next, my next device would be a jailbroken iOS device. I use Uncover, currently running on a 14. I like this one because it's just, they again have a lot of good documentation on how to jailbreak your iPhone, and it's easy, it's quick, it doesn't take a long time, and it doesn't, I've had ones where I feel like my device randomly reboots and then I lose that jailbreak and I have to go back and re-jailbreak the device, and it always seems to happen during the middle of an audit. So Uncover, there is not anything out that I know of for like 16 yet that's working well. So if you can find an iPhone 14 OS, stick with that. Checkran I have not used before, but that's another option. They do support 12 and up. So those are my two, I guess, two jailbreaking and rooting softwares that I primarily use in my day-to-day. So we have our jailbroken iPhone, we have our rooted Android. Where do we get the application from? Well, we can get it from the honest way. We can go to the Play Store or the App Store, or we can go ahead and we can go somewhere like iPhone Cakes and get your IPA file. And I don't have, I lost my Android slide for this, but APK Pure is one.
We're still on the Uncover slide.
Gosh damn it. Huh? Unplug and plug it back in? What a trick. Try a different one. So a window screen? I'm about to fight it. I'm just gonna like stand and like, huh? What do you see now? You know what? Maybe I don't because the presentation obviously messes it up. So APK Pure is one that I did not put on there, But what if we just click through it and we just, this is what's gonna happen. So, because I don't have a lot of time. Anyways, iPhone cakes. These are ways to get your APK and your IPA without having to go through the store and without having to create an account. The problem is you have to load those applications, and you have to know how to do that. So, which brings me to my next topic, side loading applications. With Android, you use ADB install. With iOS, I use either Fileza, Sideloadly, or Xcode. Those are all really nice. Xcode, you have to do a bunch of things where you sign the application. I don't like that, I'm lazy. I like to just drop my IPA file onto my phone and it does magic for me, and then I have a working install. So onward to some tools. So I mentioned ADB earlier. So ADB comes in the Android SDK toolkit. Also comes in at Fastboot and System Trace. Those are tools that are essential. That is what you need to start up with Android and your rooted device in penetration testing. ADB shell is what you're going to use to connect to your Android device. ADB push, you go from PC to device. So if you're pushing an install file or pushing files to a device into a folder, that's what you'd use. If you're pulling local storage off of a phone, you're going to use ADB pull. The trick here is once you're rooted, all the local storage lives in that data folder, and you have to move that from data to like an SD card, then you can pull it, because as a regular user, you're gonna have to be root at some point to get that information off of there. And then ADB install is where you sideload that APK. And when I mean sideload, it's just a way to install the application without having to use the App Store, and we're bypassing that. This is the data folder that I referenced. This is where all your applications live and all their juicy info. ADB Logcat, that's another good tool I like to use at runtime when the application starts. It gives me good error messages. Sometimes developers leave verbose logging on, debug. So it's use it command line, you output it to a text file, then you just kind of cipher through the text file. So we have our APKs, we have our IPAs. What do we do with them next? Well, I like to throw them in a tool called MobSF. So MobSF will take your IPA and your APK, and they'll basically give you this rundown of the application, what kind of URLs are in there, the strings of the application, permissions. So I go to it a lot for permissions, certificates. I reference this tool a lot. It gives me a starting point to where I'm going to go to next when I do the static analysis of the files. Gosh, dang it. Where is it at? I know, but I just don't want to deal with this anymore. We'll go back to MobSF. Some wait music. MobSF, hi again. So this is my MobSF screen. It's pretty cool, right? There we go. Anyways, as you can see, there's a permission screen. You get a lot of good information from that. So I just You get a report download too. I just use it as a point of reference. It also will pull down your Java files too, so you don't have to decompile. It's great. I love the tool. It's not as good with the IPA file, but I feel like I side more sometimes with Android testing. It's a bit more easy, like a bit easier to go through. So, did it go to the next slide? All right. Next on my list, I know I'm kind of bouncing around, but I had to get like everything in that I wanted to. Certificate pinning. So after I get those APKs in, I want to kind of dynamically test that application. But first, I want to make sure on this is specifically for iOS, is I want to make sure my certificate pinning is handled. So SSL kill switch 2, that's going to help you with your cert pinning. That is something you're going to find in Cydia, and the repo package is up on the screen if you can still see it. Basically, Cydia is going to install it. You just slide that thing over, the little toggle, and then you'll be able to bypass that certificate pinning. So it's pretty cool. I use it quite often. And then Burp Suite. I use Burp Suite a lot. Kind of live in Burp Suite. God. What a tragedy. I should just turn the screen around and be like, just visualize. Is there a different one? All right, next on the list. This is where things start to get a little crazy. Frida. So Frida is dynamic instrumentation. Basically, we're now hooking into the processes of the application. My first tool that I use is FreeDump. FreeDump, open source. It runs off of Frida framework. I use it for memory dumping. Basically, you get the process ID of the application. You run that dump. From there, it outputs a file. What I'm looking for is, did it change? Is it still free? Is it free dump? My, this is so good. Do you think is there a different one, or is it just my computer? Okay. Where are we at? Is it back up there? Freedom. You just have to take my word for it. Okay. Still up there? All right. What am I looking for? Credentials, usernames, passwords, IP addresses. I get a lot of good stuff from that. We still on? We still good? Okay. Objection. Objection lives off of the Frida framework. This has become my most favorite tool to use because it supports both Android and iOS. I use it a lot to bypass SSL pinning for Android. I dump keychains. Basically, I start memory-related tasks and manipulate the application. So, all right, so objection. So when we run objection, you have to have Frida installed. You'll run objection, you'll run the process name, so whatever the application name is, explore. From there, it will give you menu options that you can go ahead and go through. Still on the, are we still going? My favorite ones to go through, Android SSL pinning disabled. So that's the cert pinning that we're disabling. Root disable, that's fun when you get to root disable. So a lot of applications, banking applications will have root detection. If you can bypass that root detection with objection, I use that a lot. Key store, we'll see if they're using the key store list right, and then hooking classes to see So maybe we can't bypass that root disable. Well, let's hook into the classes and see if we can change the application and disable that root. Still good? All right. On to iOS, NS user defaults, hooking classes. I wrote that twice. Credential storage dumps, keychains, cookies. These are all things I use in a typical audit just to gather information. I want to make sure that they're using the keychain right. And just to gather information. Sometimes people will put the weirdest things in cookies, like passwords and long tokens and stuff that don't need to be there. So, yeah. So, if objection doesn't work, I have some other root bypasses. Magisk hide is an option in Magisk that you can set up that will basically add an app onto your phone that makes you look like you're coming from different, like a calculator traffic. And so it will hide your root detection. So when apps are built and they have root detection, they're looking for Magisk. They're looking for all that rooted software. So same thing with iOS. iHide, shameless plug for my boss. He created this. This is bypassing jailbreak detection. And then he is also looking for, just like the apps, they're looking for Cydia, they're looking for jailbreaks, Uncover, they're looking for that software on the device at runtime, and they're not allowing the application to run. So this jailbreak bypass stops that from happening. Liberty Light is another one as well. Was it frozen? God damn it. This is supposed to be easy. Don't go back and tell them that my first talk was a train wreck. It's not my fault. Cool. Liberty Light. Same thing. This is for iOS. iHide was for iOS. This is installed via Cydia. So, like I said, Cydia, everything that I'm talking about could probably be a whole nother talk. So, if you have questions afterwards, please come talk to me. I'll talk about mobile all day. So, these are two tools that I found that help me bypass jailbreak detection. Back to Android, decompiling, so looking at the app internally, doing static analysis, seeing what is in the code. I use this. It's a nice GUI. It's better than taking a Sublime text editor and going and clicking through each tab to try to read the code. So, what am I looking for when I get into these apps? I'm looking for, well, former job, I'm looking for malware, but secrets, keys, credentials, URLs, URIs, IP addresses, and email addresses. I'm basically looking for any information that I can use to maybe jump to my next target in an audit, or something that I can gain better access in that application. Some training materials that I used. So, shameless plug for Trusted Sec blog. So we were trying to build the mobile team up. But OWASP Mobile Security Testing Guide, that's one that I live off of for quite some time when I first got started. That's just my go-to. And then now, I guess when I started mobile in 2018 versus now, there's so much more documentation and people are blogging more about mobile. So it's easier to Google a question. Like a couple years ago, it was just figure it out and hope for the best. So sorry that my my slide deck was a little wonky, but does anybody want me to go back to anything or re-explain something? Oh wait, I only have 4 minutes left. So, it did freeze again? Well, that's how I end it. But I'm Whitney.